What's up, ladies and gents? In this video, I want to go over a easy, a medium, as well as a hard example for solving a quadratic equation by completing the square. I know, completing the square, it gets a lot of students get frustrated trying to remember the process or making mistakes. And that's why I thought this video would be perfect to help students go through this process multiple times. Because in the reality, guys, if you want to get better at something, you have to be able to put in the work. So feel free to watch as I'm going through these 3 examples, or pause the video and work through the problems with me. I'm telling you, if you go through these 3 problems step by step, you're going to have a great foundation for completing the square. Now you can complete the square to put an equation in vertex form, or you can complete the square to put something in to solve the equation. In this video, that's all we're going to focus on. So let's go through the first type of problem that typically a teacher, if they were showing you a lesson like how to complete the square by solving, this is typically a problem that you would see, okay? So I'm gonna break this down step by step. I'm gonna explain everything I'm going through, and this will kind of give your foundation for the process that we're gonna use in the more difficult problems. All right, so I have my quadratic equation. It is set equal to 0. And what we want to do for completing the square is create a binomial squared, or we want to create a perfect square trinomial. So to do that, we're going to take our middle term, which in this case is a -6, and we're going to square that. So I'm going to take a -6 divided by 2 and square it. Now, -6 divided by 2, I'm going to do this in my head, which is going to be a -3. -3 squared is going to be a 9. Now again, this 9 is what is the value that we say creates the perfect square trinomial. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this 9 and I'm going to add it to my first 2 terms. I'm going to put it right down there. So I'm going to say plus a 9. Now remember though, we just can't randomly add a 9 to an equation, right? Because then the balance is going to be off. So if we're going to add a 9, then we have to make sure we also subtract a 9. And then also, don't forget, we still have this 7 here, okay? Now, there's a lot of different ways that I teach completing the square, but I'm just, for sanity's sake, to keep the process the exact same, or to keep the process the exact same throughout this video, I'm just going to solve everything this exact same way, all right? So we added and subtracted on the same side, which is perfectly fine. That's not going to change the equation. But now what I want you guys to understand is I created a perfect square trinomial. Now, what's important about creating a perfect square trinomial? Perfect square trinomials can always be factored down into binomial squareds. If you think about it, what 2 numbers multiply give me 9, add to give me a -6, that value is going to be a -3. So this can be factored down into an x minus 3 quantity squared, or x minus 3 times an x minus 3. Now we have a -9 minus 7. So again, you owe me $9, you borrow 7 more, you now owe me $16. But this is exactly when completing the square, or solving a quadratic for completing the square, this is exactly where we want to get to. Because now we have a single x and it's being raised to the 2nd power. Now we can apply our inverse operations. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add a 16 to the other side. Now I have an x minus a 3 quantity squared is equal to a 16. Now I can undo the squaring by introducing the square root on both sides. Just remember, when you introduce the square root, you have to go and include the plus or minus. So x minus 3 equals a plus or minus 4, and then just add my 3 to both sides. So x equals a 3 plus 4, or a x equals a 3 minus 4. Now, when we go ahead and solve those, right, because you have to do plus or minus, right? 3 plus 4, 3 minus 4. So I get an x equals a 7, or a x equals a -1, okay? So that is the process. Now, let's go and get to some ones that might be a little difficult, right? These are going to be the ones that you will probably see, like on your homework, or maybe on a quiz is this next one. So the next problem here is going to be x squared plus 7x minus an 18 is equal to 0. Looks very similar, right? Doesn't look anything crazy. But hopefully if you start immediately looking at this first step, which is to take my b and divide it by 2, you notice that we kind of have a problem, right? Because up here, -6 was divisible by 2. Down here, 7 is not divisible by 2, but that's okay. So I'm going to take my middle term, divided by 2, and then we're going to square it. Now again, 7 cannot be divided by 2 evenly, so I'm just going to keep it as a fraction and then square it. 7 divided by 2 is going to be a 49, and 2 squared is going to be, 7 squared is 49, and a 2 squared is going to give me a 4. Now again, we have to do the exact same thing like we did up here, right? We're going to add it and we're going to subtract it. So therefore, I have a x squared plus a 7x plus a 49 over 4 minus a 49 over 4, and then I'm going to subtract that from an 18 is equal to 0. Okay, now I already know you're probably looking at this, be like, oh boy, this is getting difficult. But again, The process is exactly the same. We're just changing up the numbers to make it a little bit more difficult. Now, I would probably say this is probably the one of the more confusing areas, but I'm going to give you a tip that I want you to remember. Because remember, when I said when we take the b divided by 2 and square it, that creates a perfect square trinomial, always. Now, here, we can just use our understanding of factoring to say, oh, I know that's going to be, -3 times -3 is 9, -3 plus -3 is a -6, x minus 3 quantity squared. Over here, it gets a little bit more confusing. You can see we have fractions. Like, how am I going to factor this down in my head? Here's the cool trick. This value is going to be your, this value is what's going to be in your factored form. So all you need to be able to determine, should that value be a plus or a negative? Well, since my middle term is positive, then I know that those two terms also have to be positive. If this was a negative, then you know your value would have to be negative. So all I'm simply going to do is rewrite this as a x plus a 7/2 quantity squared. Now again, we can check this out. 7/2 times 7/2 is 49/2. 7/2 plus 7/2 is going to be a 14/2, which simplifies down to a 7. So if you want that trick, just always take this value, plug in here, and then just make sure you check if it should be positive or negative. Now, the other part where students will be like, crap, I don't know what to do here, is how am I going to subtract a 49 over 4 minus an 18? Well, ladies and gentlemen, we don't want to work with an 18. We want to work with a 18 over 4, or we want to be able to get the common denominator. So all I'm going to do is multiply by 4 on the top and the bottom. Okay. Now 18 times 4, 18 times 2 is 36. So times 2 again, which is going to give me a 72. So that's a 72 over 4. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to rewrite this 18 as a 72 over 4. Now, ladies and gentlemen, they have the same denominator. Oops, I wrote the wrong one, wrong pencil. So remember, when you're just subtracting fractions, as long as you have the same denominator, you can just apply the operation to your numerator. Now, when I subtract this here, I have 49 minus a 7, or negative 49 minus a 72. Technically, we know the answer is going to be negative, and we're just adding them up. Again, you might be able to do this in your head, or you can do this over here. Let's just, why did I draw that line? Or we can just do it over here. Let's see, what would that be? 2 plus 9 is 11, right? And that's going to be a 11, that'd be 12, 121. Okay, there we go. So it's a minus a 121 over 4 is equal to 0. Now again, even though we have fractions, we can still apply the same process, right? All we simply do is add this over and then introduce the square root. So I'm going to take a 121 over 4, add that to both sides, and then I get a x plus a 7/2 quantity squared equals a 121 over 4. Again, introduce the square root on both sides. X plus a 7/2 is equal to a plus or minus. The square root of 121 is going to be 11. The square root of 4 is going to be a 2. All right, so now I have my two answers. So I have x, oops, forgot. You got to subtract now a 7/2 to both sides. Okay, so now I can do my two answers. Let's get a little ahead of myself. So now I can say x minus a 7/2 plus 11/2, or x equals, now I'm starting to go a little too fast because I have this. So slow down, Mr. McLogan. So x equals a negative 7/2 plus 11/12. There you go. Or x equals a negative 7/2 minus an 11/2. So over here, negative 7 plus 11, that's going to be a positive 4. 4 divided by 2 is just going to be 2. So x equals a 2. And then over here, that's going to be negative 18 divided by 2, which is going to be a negative 9. So x equals a negative 9. And I'm assuming I'm doing the simple calculations right, hopefully. All right, let's get into the last example. This is going to be the one that your teacher will throw on the test. Maybe they'll go over this like on your quiz, right? People got these wrong. Let's go and teach these. And then they're like, all right, most everybody understands the easy and the medium. And then what happens on your test or your exam? You're given this problem. 3x squared plus a 13x plus 12 is equal to 0. You're like, all right, not crazy numbers. I can go ahead and do this. Let's go and take a look at our middle term, right? 13 divided by 3. Oh, that's not divisible. But then you're like, wait, I remember my teacher did an example like this. We can only take our middle term divided by 2 when we do not have a coefficient. So what we have to do is factor this term out. Now, again, there's actually, I'd probably even say an easier way to show this. which would be dividing a 3 on both sides, but I'm not going to work that method. I'm going to do the same method I taught in the other two examples. So what we need to do is, before we can take our middle term divided by 2, we need to factor out whatever our coefficient here of our quadratic term is. So we're going to factor out the 3. Now, when I do that, out of this term, I just get an x squared. Over here, I can't divide by 3 or this 13 out of there, so I'm going to have to rewrite this as a fraction, 13 divided by 3x. Now, I'm not concerned about the 12, so I'm just going to leave that on the outside, okay? You could subtract it over to the other side, which would probably be preferred, but I'm just going to leave everything for accounting purposes, and therefore you guys can compare to the other examples. I'll just leave it on the same side. All right, now I need to take my 13 divided by 3 and divide that by 2 so I can square it. Now again, though, remember guys, when you're dividing by 2, that's the same thing as multiplying by a fraction, right? Dividing by 2 is the same thing as multiplying it by 1/2. So that's really simply just going to be a 13 over a 6. Now I can square that, which is going to be a 169 over a 36. Okay, big numbers. I get it, but that's why this is hard. But again, nothing crazy, right? We got a little extra work here on the side that we can work on. So if we need to, we can write those in there. So we have 169 divided by 36. Okay. What do we do? Oh yeah, we got to add that in. Now here, what we're going to do is we're going to add this inside this parenthesis, and then there's something special that's going to come up, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this, I'm going to have a 3 times a x squared plus a 13 divided by 3x. I'm going to add my 169 divided by 36. Now, I'm going to subtract it on the outside, right? Outside of that parentheses, just like I did up here, right? I did this in all these examples. But there's something I need you guys to understand here, okay? This is something really, really important. I need to subtract this. I need to subtract the 169 divided by 36. But here's what you really need to know. I'm actually not adding a 169 over 36. I'm adding a 169 over 36 that's being multiplied by a 3, right? So when I'm subtracting a 169 over 36, I need to multiply that by a 3. Okay, very, very important. And then also don't forget we have this plus 12. There you go. All right. All right. So now, again, remember what I told you this trick? All of this can be factored down into whatever your b divided by 2 was squared, which is a 13 over 6. So therefore, we can leave this as a 3 times a, let's see, x. We can leave this into a, that has to be positive, right? Because everything's positive, so we're good. So it's an x plus a 13 over 6 quantity squared. Now again, let's just check our work, right? 13 over 6 times 13 over 6 is 169 over 36. 13 over 6 plus 13 over 6 is going to be a 26 over 6, which is a 26 over 6, which can be divided by 2, which can be reduced down to 13 over 3. Okay, so we're good here. Now over here, I can simplify 13 over 36. I can rewrite that as a 1/12. So I say minus a 169 over 12 plus, now again here, guys, I don't want to write 12, right? I need to have 12 over as a denominator of 12. So remember, 12 is the same thing as 144 over 12. Wouldn't you guys agree, right? 12 is the same thing as 144 over 12. So what I simply did is I just took 12, put it over 1, and multiplied 12 over 12 on the top and bottom. Okay, so therefore, that's going to be a 144 over 12. And again, we're still on this right-hand side equal to 0. Now again, now I add this. Again, since we have common denominators, we're good. Negative 169 plus 144 is going to be a negative 25. So therefore, I have a 3 times a x plus a 13 over 6 quantity squared. And then this is going to be a minus 25 over a 12. Oh, wait a minute. Did I make a mistake there? I did. Because you're multiplying that by 3. Oh, wait, no. No, we're good. Yes, okay. I was right. Okay, that equals 6. Now again, just go through the same process. Add a 25 over 12. Add a 25 over 12. And I get a 3 times x plus a 13 over 6 quantity squared equals a 25 over a 12. Okay, so now I can divide by 3. Divide by 3 on both sides. Now again, remember, dividing by 3 is the same thing as multiplying by 1/3. Okay, and if you want me to break this out, you can multiply by 1/3 on the top and on the bottom. So now I'm going to have a x plus a 13 over 6 quantity squared is equal to a 25 over 12 times 3, which is going to be a 36. Introduce the square root on the top and the bottom, and I get an x plus a 6 is equal to a plus or minus a 25 over 6, right? Remember, always introduce that plus or minus. So therefore, now I can subtract a 13 over 6 on both sides. And what I get is x is equal to a negative 13 over 6 plus a 25 over 6, or a x equals a negative 13 over 6 minus a 25 over 6. Just want to make sure I did this at the original one. Did I subtract plus 3? Yeah, okay, I did that. Okay. So therefore, negative 13 plus 25 is going to be a 12. A 12 over 6 is going to be equal to a 2. Or over here, this is going to be a negative 38. Yeah, so therefore, x equals a negative 38 divided by 6, which I can divide by 2 on the top and bottom. So x is equal to a negative 14 over 3. And boom, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. That was an easy, medium, hard. Hopefully by watching me work through these examples, you feel a little bit more confident in completing the square. But if you're not, that's okay. I have multiple examples of me working through completing the square or solving quadratics, as well as some other videos of going through the same process, but maybe with some better tips and tricks that might actually make a little bit more sense with you. So if you want to see more examples of me working through those problems or extra resources on solving quadratics and completing the square, then check out the description I have for you down below or the video I have for you here. Cheers.